When does the Constitution guarantee a jury trial in a civil case? To find out, you have to read Curtis versus Loether, but it's 12 pages long. Don't have time for that? I've got you covered. This is TLDR, where normally I cover cases from the New York Court of Appeals, and I try to do it in 5 minutes or less. But this is part of a special series on landmark Supreme Court cases. This is the episode on the case of Curtis versus Loether, published by the Supreme Court on February 20th, 1974, with a citation of 415 U.S. 189. The issue in this case is whether a plaintiff in a federal lawsuit over racial discrimination in real estate is entitled to a jury trial. To better understand and appreciate this case, a little background is helpful. The 7th Amendment to the United States Constitution was written as a response to Old English common law. When the American colonies were under English rule, there were situations where the English Parliament issued new laws, and juries were seen as a way to nullify or defeat unfair laws. This is because when a jury was involved, it could nullify verdicts if the laws was seen or understood to be unfair. As the colonists debated how to protect the American people from abuses of government, the drafters of the Bill of Rights sought to keep the jury as a firewall from abusive federal government. The 7th Amendment is drafted as follows. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. As you can see, the amendment doesn't specifically describe what kinds of cases have a guaranteed jury trial. Instead, it uses the phrase suits at common law. This language caused problems when new types of lawsuits came about that didn't exist in the 1700s. Some judges thought this meant there was no right to a jury trial in these new types of cases. This issue was directly addressed by the Curtis v. Loether case, which involved racial discrimination in housing. This case clarified the scope of the 7th Amendment's right to a jury trial in civil cases, particularly in the context of new statutory rights. So what are the facts of this case? The case arose when an African-American woman, Ida Curtis, sued a local apartment complex and its owner, Alan Loether, alleging racial discrimination in violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. This law prohibited discrimination based on race in the sale or rental of housing. Curtis claimed that Loether refused to rent her an apartment because of her race. She sued in federal court and asked for a jury trial. Loether argued that there was no right to a jury trial because the Civil Rights Act of 1968 was a new law, not a suit at common law. Curtis v. Loether, 415 U.S. 189, 1974. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Curtis, holding that the 7th Amendment guaranteed her the right to a jury trial in her housing discrimination case. The court reasoned that the 7th Amendment's reference to suits at common law was not limited only to the specific causes of action that existed in the 18th century. Rather, it encompassed any legal claim that sought legal relief for an injury to a legal right. The court noted that Curtis was seeking damages, a traditional legal remedy. It also emphasized that the right to be free from racial discrimination in housing was similar and analogous to other legal rights that had historically been protected by a jury trial. All 9 justices agreed that Curtis had a right to have a jury decide her claim. This case had a significant impact on the civil rights law. It ensured that individuals who brought claims under the Civil Rights Act of 1968 and other similar statutes would have their cases heard by a jury of their peers. This was important because it helped to ensure that these laws would be enforced fairly and effectively. This case stands as a reminder that the Constitution's protections extend to all citizens, regardless of race or background. The right to a jury trial, a cornerstone of our justice system, is essential for safeguarding individual rights and ensuring a fair and impartial judicial process.